Hello, friends. There's nothing like a long day at the office and then coming home to SheHulk. Yeah, well, at least this episode came to a satisfying conclusion. Hey, everybody. All right, this is episode 8. Oh, I've watched 8 of these. It's called Ribbit and Rip It. Terrible title. I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere. I'm sure the Friday Night Tights people will figure out something funny to say. Nothing's coming to me right now, so. In this episode, Jen represents Leapfrog in a civil suit against the guy that made his suit because, like, it catches on fire and burns him. It's going to end up being Luke, and Daredevil is going to end up representing Luke. So this is the Daredevil episode. Matt Murdock. So we see Leapfrog meeting She-Hulk in the office, and then it cuts to him beating up some goons in a Walmart or Best Buy parking lot. And as he's fighting these guys, his suit catches on fire. He has a catchphrase called "Time to ribbit and rip it." Tell you what, Leapfrog was getting on my nerves early. I thought this was going to be the worst episode when it started, but by the end, I'm like, this could be the best episode, because I do like Daredevil and She-Hulk together. I do like Matt Murdock and Jen together. I know. I can see you right now unsubbing, but is it great? No, but compared to the other 7 episodes I watched, I actually enjoyed watching this one. I did, yeah. All right, so Jen doesn't want to sue Luke because Luke is making a dress for She-Hulk to wear at the Female Lawyer of the Year gala. So she doesn't file suit but goes down and tries to play nice, like, hey, maybe just settle here with Leapfrog. And Luke is easily offended. And he calls her a greasy old buffalo, if I caught that right. I watch the subtitles when I watch these shows because I can't understand what they're saying half the time. And they skipped over that. In the subtitles, it did not say greasy old buffalo. It just skipped over it like she said nothing. But I think that's what she said. And Luke just rips up She-Hulk's dress. Very sad. And at that point, I was like, welcome to Marvel in 2022. We're ripping up dresses of our superheroes. But then we go to court. She-Hulk files suit. And it looks like at first Luke does not have counsel. But no, in walks Matt Murdock. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Here we go. And right away, he's cracking jokes. And I'm like, oh boy. He says something like, sorry, Your Honor, I couldn't find parking, meaning he's blind. And I'm like, oh no, this is going to be terrible. Going to be terrible. Jen and Matt Murdock, they argue over whether Luke should produce his list of clients in Discovery for the litigation. And Matt Murdock is saying, listen, relevancy, but also disclosing this list of clients would expose these superheroes that want to remain anonymous. And Jen calls Matt Murdock to us. She looks in the camera and says, who is this asshole? So I thought we were off to a really bad start. That's what I was thinking. During the hearing, Matt Murdock smells jet fuel on Leapfrog. And yeah, he's not supposed to use jet fuel in the Leapfrog suit. So the judge, once Leapfrog admits this in open court, the judge dismisses the case against Luke. Matt Murdock and Jen end up at a bar, of course, right? They're both lawyers. Of course. And he buys her an Appletini. Matt Murdock admits that Luke makes suits for him. And I don't know. I don't know why he would admit that quite at that point in time. And how did Luke start making suits for Daredevil? Curious about that. Aren't you guys? I guess no one cares. I care. All right. In the course of their chit-chat at the bar, it started to get better with Matt Murdock and Jen. Matt Murdock tells Jen that Jen can help people when society fails them. She can help them in court. And She-Hulk can help people when the law fails them. He says, you have the best of both worlds, honey. So he's making Jen feel good, and Jen is definitely getting the hots for Matt Murdock. I was sensing it, but I had no idea how far they would go in this episode. They went farther than I was expecting, much farther. Then Jen meets with Todd. Todd's the guy she had a date with who was talking about her as like a specimen or something. He's the guy that I think could be he's probably not the leader, but he's reminding me of maybe the leader, but I don't know. And I did think this was kind of funny. Todd buys a Wakandan spear at some auction or something and shows Jen a selfie of himself with his shirt off holding the Wakandan spear, and then he says Wakanda forever and does the crisscross with his arms, and Jen says that's making her feel uncomfortable. Thought that was kind of funny, actually. So Todd did make me laugh, I'll admit it. All right, so Leapfrog, still a client of Jen, calls Jen and says, someone's attacking me. And it's actually Daredevil. Daredevil is on top of his car and beating on Leapfrog's car. And he's in his new suit, Daredevil. I didn't like it at first, but it's growing on me. It's growing on me. And then She-Hulk shows up in her new suit, the purple suit. It's fine. It's fine. I thought the CG of Daredevil moving around, I did kind of like it. At times it looked fake, but I liked the way they did handle Daredevil. And his action is kind of cool. It was a little more comic booky than the Daredevil show, and I liked that. So anyway, Daredevil fights She-Hulk, and she eventually does the clap thing. Did the clap thing take out the normal Hulk or stun him? I forget. It's been so long. But she does the clap thing, and then that stuns Daredevil, takes off Daredevil's yellow mustard-colored mask, and she learns that, hey, you're Matt Murdock. And Matt Murdock explains that Leapfrog is the villain because he has kidnapped Luke. And Jen says exactly what I was thinking. Why didn't you tell me this before we fought? I agree with her. And Jen also challenges his suit, saying it's like a ketchup and mustard color scheme, which once she says that, I can't unsee that, so I don't really disagree with Jen. They agree to work together to free Luke from Leapfrog and his henchmen. Leapfrog has henchmen. And at this point, I wrote, I'm kind of digging the chemistry here between the two. I think, Jen is better in this episode. I mean, I think She-Hulk's a little bit better. There's definitely a little bit of chemistry. I think Charlie Cox is elevating this material. In fact, at one point, Daredevil tells She-Hulk that he can hear her heartbeat and it's beating faster. It's She-Hulk or Jen, I can't remember. But things are getting romantic and steamy. They still go much farther than I was expecting. Whew. We'll get to that. They also debate on whether using stealth or just smashing their way into Leapfrog's lair. And Daredevil just says, hey, follow my lead. And he leaps off the side of the building. Again, I thought that looked good. And I like this scene. So Daredevil's going to take out Leapfrog's goons. And it's kind of like a throwback to season 1 of Daredevil. Now, of that hallway shot where Daredevil's just in the hall beating dudes for 10 minutes. Okay, that was great. This isn't that, but they're playing off of that. There's a bunch of dudes in the hall, and Daredevil comes out, and he's a lot more like the comic book, his moves. It's a little less brutal, but it's still brutal enough for Disney Plus, I thought. And he has that weapon. I don't know what it's called. It's like a truncheon, but it comes apart, and it's not a nunchuck, but it's got the really long cable. I forget if he's got a different name for it. And I don't think he ever used that on the Netflix show that way, but he used it here. It came out, and it looked really good. It looked like right out of a Frank Miller comic. Really dug it. So all that action was really good, and then She-Hulk, busts through a wall, and then she kind of ruins the action. All right, so Daredevil is whooping ass, and She-Hulk is talking to Luke and Leapfrog. Anyway, they capture Leapfrog, they free Luke, it's all good. Later, Daredevil and Jen are sitting under a neon sign, and they're chit-chatting, and it's good. It's not terrible dialogue, and I'm feeling the chemistry again. But whoa, they surprise me when Jen takes Daredevil home. And they get it on. They do it. They do it. Jen has sex with Daredevil. I wonder, did She-Hulk have sex with Daredevil or just Jen? Maybe just Jen. And then I like the next cut to the scene of Daredevil doing the walk of shame down the street. He's in his Daredevil costume. I think it wasn't fitting quite right or was loose, and he's barefoot holding his shoes. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny, I admit. And then Jen talks to us and says, this episode came to a very satisfying conclusion. And then she mentions that next week is the finale, and I'm like, oh my God, yes. Yes, I can't wait. Let's end this. Then we cut to She-Hulk showing up for the Female Lawyer of the Year gala. She walks out of the car in Luke's dress. So Luke, I guess forgave her and finished the nice sparkly dress. And She-Hulk is looking wonderful. And she wins Female Lawyer of the Year with 6 other lawyers. And they're all up there. And the other lawyers complain about being a lawyer, making a lot of money and being an attractive successful professional person. And I have to admit that She-Hulk thanked her family, so that was nice. Maybe that's the story arc. That's the arc, right? She's, maybe she was one of those lawyers in the beginning of the series, but now she's thanking her family. She's finding happiness. She's finding herself, humility. I'm giving them more credit than they deserve, these writers. Okay, so she's up there on stage, and then Intelligentsia, that weird social media group, they hack the screen behind her, and a video up there calls She-Hulk Jen a slut, and shows like the clip of her having sex with that one dude. Was it Josh? I don't remember. And then She-Hulk gets really mad, smashes the screen. Everyone's running. I don't know why the room is like flashing red, and then there's some Intelligentsia people in the back of the room, so Jen goes after them. People are terrified of She-Hulk. I wasn't really buying that. Anyway, she grabs one of the Intelligentsia guys outside, and then it's like S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up. Who are these guys? These guys show up with like, lasers on their guns, and they have She-Hulk at gunpoint. Big whoop, right? But She-Hulk, okay, puts him down, and then that's the end of the show. There is no mid-credit scene. That's it. So hopefully we have one more episode to go to wrap up the big Intelligentsia plot that I don't care about. I will say, this is the best episode. It was great seeing Charlie Cox. He elevated the material. Daredevil elevated the action. I like how they used him. I thought he did look really good. If that is a little bit of a hint of what we're going to see, I'll be down for a Disney Plus Daredevil show. So I got to say, this was the best episode, and it wasn't a terrible episode, in my opinion. Now, some people might be mad that She-Hulk hooked up with Daredevil. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments. I'm just saying, I watched so much bad TV that this one wasn't painful today. And I don't think, they poked a little fun at Daredevil, but I don't think they ruined him. I don't know. That's my take. So you guys let me know in the comments how you feel. Again, if you can share the video, like the video, do all that good things you do with these videos, I really truly appreciate your support and being patient with me as my schedule is changing. As I get more settled into things, we can get more into a routine, but new things for Everyday Eric this week. All right, everybody, have a great day, a great night. We have Werewolf by Night tomorrow, don't we? This came out of nowhere, Werewolf by Night. And I got to tell you, I might like it. That's my prediction. Who's back there? Someone's back there. I gotta go check out who's back there. All right. I'll see you really soon, and I'll see you on the new.